Not sure if WWE 2020 or WCW 2000. Did they secretly rehire Vince Russo? These are the questions that I will answer in my review. I am John Ritland. This is my review of WWE Raw. And look, these empty arena shows, I get that they're doing them out of necessity, and sometimes there can be some energy. AEW's gotten some stuff right and wrong on theirs. WWE has gotten some stuff right and wrong on theirs, and they got a lot wrong on this one. There was some good, do not get me wrong, there were some good things. They've been doing some good booking with a couple people. Unfortunately, there was a whole lot of bullshit that you had to wade through to get to anything good. So we start with recaps of Becky's career highlights and announcement that Asuka can go be a warrior. She's going to go be a mother. I made Becky sound very New York instead of Irish. I'm just going to roll with it right there. So Charlie is in the ring. We literally start with Charlie in the ring, which isn't always a bad thing because Charlie does have some nice personality and actually can, carry some interviews pretty well. And she says, Edge versus Orton could be the greatest wrestling match of all time. The greatest wrestling match ever. Literally nobody is saying that. Not even Edge and Orton are saying that. And Edge, it's great that he's back in the ring after 9+ years and that he is back getting to go out on his terms. Orton, when motivated, is one of the best, but literally nobody is fucking saying this. There was 30 minutes of talking before we got to the first match, by the way. So Orton comes down to the ring, and I believe one of the commentators said, every good general dictates his move. Maybe he said every good general dictates his move, but I don't really care at this point because honestly, this show is fucking draining. Orton wants to beat Edge off and then beat him up in a straight up wrestling match and says, oh, by the way, I know that you're listening. Yes, Orton. Edge was back there if you possessed object permanence and not the ability to be high as goddamn fucking only this side of Riddle when he is high. Maybe you would be aware and not totally with your head in the clouds. You would be aware that, oh yeah, Edge was right there and here's Edge. And yeah, I'm not making a whole lot of sense, but you know what? This show didn't make a whole lot of sense because any of the storylines that they had that were any good was weighed down by a whole bunch of bullshit. Here's Edge. You're gifted, but this was your backup plan. You didn't breathe sweat and love wrestling. You didn't cry when, you won the Intercontinental Championship like I did. You weren't happy when you went to all these wrestling shows. You saved up your allowance to go to wrestling shows at the end of the month. Edge is a lifelong fan, and Orton got into this because he could make a shit pot full of money. He accepts his damn challenge. Cool. Okay, look, the promos were fine. Edge was fired up and everything, and Orton's promo was fine. This is not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. They need to stop saying that. And then Rollins is talking to Murphy. I had a revelation. They go out to the ring. Rollins, his music, hey, they're going full on in on this Monday Night Ass Saya thing. Man, they are really going in on this. And he needs to apologize for his anus actions towards Ray. Yeah, I'm making fun of this. You know why? Because the horribly scripted stuff just weighs me down. And eventually, I just need to unleash on some of this stuff. Rollins is sinking his teeth in his character. I'm 50-50 on it. I know some people like it to watch it, and that's fine. That's great. I give him credit for trying to do something different. Here's the problem. Rollins, it really isn't all that good on the mic. And then he, says, well, some say it was an unforgivable act, and others say it was an act of penis or penis or penis. I'm not really sure exactly what he said. Because sometimes everybody forgot where the mic was and they were speaking with it about over here. Well, he says, oh, by the way, Ray, you're welcome. He never apologized because he was going to create an eye-opening thing for Ray. Unfortunately, he just shut his eye. We're going to get Ray in an eye patch. It's going to be eye patch stereo. And he's still going to be able to cut better promos than Dominic ever will. So, we suddenly have Humberto out here, and he's going to fight Buddy Murphy, well, I'm just going to call him Buddy Murphy because that's what he is. Who is going to face Alistair later, but he has another match because they are literally running on a skeleton crew. How was the match? Well, Humberto got some shots in, but fell to Murphy's Law 1, 2, 3. And then Alistair comes in to make the save, and he attacks Buddy. And we get all this stuff going on. He attacks Murphy. He attacks Murphy's Law, and there we go. We are off to the races. Corbin yells at people, yells at a backstage hand, and yells at a referee. That's where we're going with this. Corbin, because of the brand-to-brand invitational battle royal concept, you know what? That would actually be better. Just have everybody human centipede them together on every single brand and just have a battle royal. That would be an odd battle royal. The human centipede battle royal. First one to break from the pack wins or loses. Actually, would probably win. You ever seen those movies? You shouldn't. They're rubbish. So Liv talks about how her mom is her hero, and that, she talks about how hard her mom worked and everything. And I usually love Liv, but Liv at one point says, "I am my mother's daughter." Yes, Liv, that's how families work. Liv has actually been doing pretty good here, but this was not necessarily the best delivered line. That being said, she says she's a future Raw Women's Champion. I hope so, because Liv deserves that. Liv is working hard, and maybe around SummerSlam, probably sometime more towards Survivor Series, we could get that. Because Liv has definitely improved. She's turned my opinion around for what it's worth. Just the opinion of one fan. She's turned my opinion of her around, so good on her. So, all right, Charlotte, here's Charlotte to say, "I don't want to bore you." Good, leave, get. I know she's going to be on TV, and I know she's the NXT Women's Champion. They are bound determined to bore us to fucking tears with this. But Charlotte's here to, be the hardest working woman in WWE. She's not even the hardest working woman on this show. She's harder working than Nia, but that's not saying much because I could find a no-legged gazelle that is harder working than Nia. Because a no-legged gazelle would find a way to not injure people. It would just cry out in pain and want to be put out of its misery, much like me watching a Nia Jax match. Don't worry, I'll get to Nia Jax a little bit later. So, Charlotte just does the same old promo, blah, 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 blah. I'm a hardworking woman. I'm going to beat some respect into people. Charlotte, if you actually tried having a competent match, now maybe you could do that. Oh, here's Ruby. We could get Ruby and Charlotte having a good match, except we don't. Ruby gets some shots, but Charlotte just eats her alive. Charlotte eating her alive, and whether she's told to or not, this is fucking rotten. This is doing nothing for the women that she's facing. It didn't do anything for Io when she faced Charlotte on NXT. It's not going to do anything for Bayley when we get champion versus champion. Because we'll probably get Charlotte, finding a way to goad Sasha into it. And we get a three-way match there. And we just get Charlotte working on every single show. And just, can we get rid of Charlotte, please? Please, for the love of God. You lost Becky, but you know what? Becky was actually somebody that could elevate her opponents. Charlotte has not elevated anybody in a number of years. Please, for the love of God, end this experiment, this failed genetic experiment of the genetically superior Charlotte, because that doesn't have, bad undertones or overtones at all. We get MVP wanting to help Lashley. When will Lashley free Lashley? I'm not sure you understand how that works, but whatever. He wants him to free himself, free your mind, and then he jumps across the building, and then the Wachowskis realize who they are, and then they direct Jupiter Ascending, and my God, did you see that movie? It was terrible. So, Orton versus Edge. Again, they say it's going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. We get recaps of the basketball segment, because I wasn't angry enough when they showed that last week. I want to say really, really quickly that if you guys like what the Viking Raiders and Street Profits are doing, great, cool, okay, fine. I'm glad that you guys fucking love it. You know why I'm glad you guys love it? Because you guys can find something entertaining. I don't find it entertaining. And I don't find it to be wrestling. I don't find it to be necessary to be on a wrestling show. And having different things is never the worst thing in the world. Here's the problem. The Street Profits, I've done a complete 180 on, despite the fact that Montez can do the flip-de-doo-dah shit. And Angelo is also there. The Viking Raiders are pretty much dead in the fucking water. They don't need to be entertaining guys. Now, if this is their choice and they want to do this stuff, cool, fine. I just think they need to be an ass-kicking team that can also do maybe some, weird shit, like, some occasional funny shit in matches. They don't need to be doing this stuff because this is wasting time and it's wasting energy and it's wasting airtime. So we get the axe throwing thing. Was Sarah Logan there? Was Sarah Logan on a horse? Or was it a Sarah Logan cosplayer? Was it a Sarah Logan clone? Oh my God, it's the Sarah Logan 6th day. When I told you to go screw yourself, I didn't mean for you to take it literally. That was a terrible Arnie impression. I'm sorry. So, yeah, Asuka celebration with Kairi. Cool. Finally, some personality on this goddamn show. Kairi being as adorable as always. And Asuka and her shouting a bunch. And then here's Nia. And she talked about how Asuka was handed the championship and she didn't deserve anything. So let me say something to Dwayne's undeserving twat of a cousin. Look, Nia talking about the fact that Asuka hadn't earned anything, that somebody else hadn't earned something was just handed to her, is laughable because it hadn't been for Dwayne, this, ungrateful twat would not even be anywhere near a wrestling ring. She shouldn't be anywhere near a goddamn wrestling ring because she has not gotten into good cardio shape or good ring shape or good anything. She looks sloppy. She doesn't look like she can do anything properly. She nearly injured Kairi doing a segment a little bit later. Nia can't fucking do anything. Why the fuck is Nia there? Why? To please Dwayne? Who the fuck cares about Dwayne? Who cares about Dwayne The Rock Johnson or Rock the Dwayne Johnson? Who cares about Dwayne's Johnson is my point, except his wife. Who really cares about pleasing Dwayne at this point? Nia should not be on TV. She shouldn't even be in NXT. Send her home. Put a ring in her house, or if she's got a garage or whatever, a big garage, or she's got something, put a ring somewhere and say, get in there, learn how to fucking bump, and learn how to not injure people, because you're a goddamn idiot and a goddamn clueless twat. So, she talks about having a real party with blackjack and hookers, except this is not the Herb Abrams story, except that was cocaine and hookers. This was a waste, except for the fact that Asuka foiled Nia. And then we get Corbin with Charlie. We get jokes, a lot of jokes. How Corbin says he will beat Drew tonight and then face him for the championship in Mania 37. Let me tell you right now, Corbin's anywhere near the main event. That Mania deserves to fucking fail. So, here's truth. I don't know why he's being stupid. I don't know why they keep up with the Pretty Ricky stuff. With him with the Bucky Beaver teeth, unless he's impersonating Kevin Dunn. In that case, it's not nearly good enough because he's not whining nearly enough and cowering whenever somebody confronts him because Kevin Dunn is a worthless twat that should not be in the ring. Twat is my favorite word now, by the way, in case you didn't know. He faces Lashley, and despite Truth trying to fake him out, he gets beat with the full Nelson. Cool. He gets beat with the band Nelson. There we go. We then get Lana yelling and throwing shit. Look, Lana doesn't even act human. She doesn't even act like a real doll, fully powered. She doesn't even act like a real doll would if that real doll was botched. Chucky from the recent Child's Play, the fact that he was like all manipulated and everything and he was set to kill, didn't act nearly as fried and as inhuman as Lana does. What is Lana? Why is Lana here? And I don't want to hear just because of her looks, because it looks like she got her makeup put on by Homer's shotgun. And if you've seen that episode, you know what I'm talking about. Lana is a waste of television space. She's a waste of space in general. I don't want her to not have income, but she should not be on a wrestling program. She is fucking rotten. And it's all because Lashley has MVP, who has personality, and Lana has personality of a chickpea that, I don't know, was left out in the goddamn sun for a while. I have no idea what I'm saying anymore. Asuka's then walking back with Kairi, and then Nia suddenly walks in the frame, and then we cut to black. We get Alexa and Nikki versus the Iconics. So I was going to say, finally, we get a women's tag team championship switch. No. They did a DQ finish where Peyton kept throwing Alexa into the ropes, into the corner and everything, and the referee counted to 5, and, oh God, Peyton caused a DQ. What the fuck is it? Why? Why did they do this? Why did they do this? Oh, Nia attacks Kairi, almost braining her because Nia is a clueless twat that is not any good in the ring. And then Billy is upset and slaps Peyton and then apologizes. Good. Let's break up the Iconics, one of the best duos that WWE has had. And I'm not going to say they're everybody's cup of tea, but I've enjoyed their stuff. You know what? They might as well break up every tag team and just dissolve the women's tag team division. It has been a joke since they started. And that's despite some of the talents that they have. So we then get Asuka confronting Nia and then kicking her in the head because she was upset about what she did to Kairi. Honestly, maybe that knocked some sense into her and Nia could realize, hey, I shouldn't be in the ring because Dwayne got me the job. Shana versus Mattie, submission match. One bright spot. This was one bright spot. The women took it seriously. It didn't last very long, but some good submission switching. And then, as I call it, the Barracuda clutch, but it's a Terrafuda clutch. Gets a tap out. Nattie's upset. And as she's, upset in the ring, they're setting up the KO show. And it's just a way for Natty to feel disrespected. She throws some of the set down, breaks the chairs, and then goes back. And then we get Zelina yelling at her men. And Austin Theory says, yes, ma'am. And then we get the KO show. Owens looks on at what Natty did, and then Zelina's men are here. And we get just the same thing. Zelina saying little argument. That's hilarious. Zelina is hilarious. She is also short. But she forgot her pants, so that was a bonus right there. In all seriousness, Zelina has actually been one of the few bright spots as well of WWE programming, especially Raw. And then here's Apollo, because we just have to have Apollo come back after being taken out of Money in the Bank. We get a tag match. Holla, holla, playa. And Andrade is out there, and they have a spot where Theory means to, hit Apollo, but he accidentally fists Garza really hard, so hard that Garza gets pinned by Apollo, deep bombing him right there, making this as uncomfortable as possible to see if anybody picks up on all this. And then suddenly, Theory is getting yelled at, and then he gets beat up by Andrade and Garza, and this must be the climax of their glorious plan. This was something that was actually said. And we get two Hispanics brutally fisting a Caucasian man in Orlando, news at 10. And so we then get Drew talking about the Claymore party. Austin is still left out, beaten up and thrown by a whole bunch of chairs. And then we get to the axe throwing segment. Let me tell you right now, the axe throwing segment, this is what they wasted money on and wasted television on and everything. The fact that they signed War Machine, one of the toughest and roughest and best tag teams that was in New Japan, Ring of Honor, wherever, the fact that they signed them for a whole bunch of money and they're using them in shit like this, whoever wrote this is a goddamn idiot. If it's Heyman, that would explain it, because sometimes Heyman has really good ideas. Other times he has this shit. Or it was Vince. Maybe Vince thought it was a good idea. I have no fucking clue, but I hate it. The mead gets spilled. That's the alcohol in the barrel, by the way. We then get Alistair versus Murphy. And Theory is still laid out, and Rollins is talking to him and everything. And after they have their match, including Alistair stupidly kicking the ring post and selling his leg, he goes for the black mass. Theory runs in, and we get Theory and Buddy just brutally fisting Alistair Black and everything. Brutally fisting the Dutch Oven Destroyer. And, okay, cool. I guess we're getting Theory being passed around like a joint at a college party, and he's going to be part of Rollins' group. Look, maybe it'll play out fine, but people say, oh, it's done wonders for Buddy. No, it really hasn't. It hasn't degraded Buddy, but it hasn't helped him. I mean, I'm sorry, it really hasn't. He's no better off now than he was a number of months ago, and this is repeating the same thing they did after Buddy had lost to Alistair a whole bunch, that he was just out there ringside, and Rollins convinced him to help him. Okay, so at one point we get back to the Axe stuff. Apparently Black Axe Lives Matter, and we get, we got you, fam. At that point, I wanted this segment to die. This segment deserved a horrible death. Not the people in it, just the fucking segment. This was bad. It wasn't entertaining to me. If people found it entertaining, fine. I fucking hated it. We then get a Bianca package. Cool. Okay, good. You know what? Good. I like it. I like the fact that they're there. I like the fact that they're, including Bianca and stuff. And then we get more Axe stuff. And then the cops got there. And, Street Profits didn't run. We get Apollo challenging Andrade for next week. The cops let them go because, according to one of the cops, and by the way, I would see better, I've seen better cop uniforms and acting on porn sets. Or so I've heard. I've never actually watched any of that stuff. Don't look at my search history. Moving on. This was some of the worst. I don't even have the energy for the axe throwing stuff because I expelled all my energy with the basketball stuff. This is not entertaining to me. People say World Wrestling Entertainment. See, that's the problem. Since going to the entertainment aspect, they have been very hit and miss with the entertainment. We then get Drew versus Corbin. Here's Lashley and MVP. Lashley wants to end Drew. And we get what would have been a fine match, but the great news is Drew's in the main event. Bad news is Corbin's in the main event when he belongs nowhere near there. And this is exactly what I thought of the show. Basically, Drew ends up winning a fine match and stares down Lashley and says, this is the Lashley I want. I want the killer. Come on, fight me. And that's it. That's what we're fucking getting. The reason this show bothered me so much is because it felt simultaneously rushed and also incredibly drawn out. Like, they're doing what they can. I give the wrestlers credit, but this show is fucking draining. So let me know what the fuck you guys think in the comments. And by the way, Nia Jax should not be allowed in the goddamn ring again. She's an atrocity. So, and axe throwing. Fucking axe throwing. Anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.